Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be with you here today. Thank you very much, Rabbi Levi, and thank you very much, the Chicago community, for inviting me to be part, even if we're living a little bit far physically, but spiritually and emotionally, we could connect for a couple of minutes. And before I start, I'm interested to know if any of you have any roots or connection to Slovakia. I guess everybody wants to speak and no one wants to be the first one, or there's nobody that's connected. Nobody knows their connection yet to Slovakia. But I'll tell you, as you saw in the video, sometimes you only find out these things much later. In my case, when I came to Slovakia, this wasn't very clear on the video, so now I'll explain it. I never ever dreamt in my life to be in Slovakia because I never knew of the city. I never knew of the country of Slovakia. The only thing that I knew was of Czechoslovakia. And no, that doesn't exist today. Today, there is no Czechoslovakia. It's two different countries. There's one called Czech and one called Slovakia. And honestly, when my wife and we went out before we got married, before we decided that we're for each other. So I asked my wife, okay, so what's the conditions? We both decided we want to go out on the Rebbe's mission. And my wife told me it's either America or it's in England because my parents were born in England. And then one day I come home and my wife said, well, there's a rabbi in Slovakia that is looking for a helper. I said, what, Slovakia? I don't know where that is. But if my wife is offering me an opportunity to leave, to go out of the box that she said, I'm jumping for it. And 2 weeks later, we were in Slovakia visiting. And 2 months later, we came over to Slovakia in 2004. Now, my grandfather passed away about 12 years ago. He would tell me, you can't leave your parents, you can't leave Slovakia, you can't leave New York, it's not right. And well, I respect him very much, but what can I say? I wanted to be part of this army. And I came to my grandfather right before I left. And he tells me, this is the part that wasn't clear in the video, so I'm just elaborating a little, and then I'll get on with the next. So my grandfather tells me, you're going to Slovakia, you have to visit the grave of my grandfather. And that's when the whole story came out, that my grandfather, after Auschwitz, went with his grandfather, came back, and his grandfather passed away in Bratislava. Out of over 100 great grandchildren, I was the one. There's only another one, Zev, in the family, but I was given a name after him. And here enough, I begin my journey in Slovakia with the blessing of my grandfather telling me, yes, Slovakia is where you should go. So that's where I never knew that I was connected to Slovakia until I made up my decision to go to Slovakia. Okay. I don't know if I'm speaking too quick, if you're getting the idea. I was asked to share something about what's going on over here. So if Rabbi Levi will give me the permission, I'll be more than happy to. I see, I already have the permission. I didn't even look. So I'm going to share a little bit about my family, a little bit about what goes on over here. It's frozen. Here we go. Okay. So the last family picture that we took was during the summer, during Corona, when my all my kids were home. They were home for about 7 months without. By the way, I don't hear any feedback. I guess that's because all the mics are off. But okay, now I hear that you. I see that you're understanding me, that you're hearing me. Anyways, what I wanted to say was that this is our last family picture ever since we had another member. My wife wouldn't approve of this picture. She would say I should find the nicest picture, but I just went with the quickest picture that I found of my daughter Sarah. She was born on the 1st of January 2021, which corresponds with the 17th of the month of Tevet. Moving on, you probably want to know where I was born. I was born in Atlanta, Georgia. And at the age of 6, we moved to Montreal, Canada. And that's where I grew up. My wife is from New York. Her parents actually made Aliyah a couple years ago to Bet Shemesh, Israel. Very beautiful city right outside of Jerusalem. Okay, where do I find myself? So I am in as you know, at this point, I'm in Slovakia, and I'm in a city called Piešťany. So if you look on the map over here, you see this city where I'm pointing to. This is Piešťany, and I put a line all the way to another city which is called Košice. The reason that I did that is because, interestingly enough, I travel very often, usually once a week. Tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. I'm on a train 5 hours to visit. That's 5 hours each direction to visit the city of Košice. Košice is the second to biggest city in Slovakia, and I make this trip back and forth. So I'll tell you a little bit about Piešťany. I'll tell you a little bit about Košice, and I'll tell you why we chose to eventually move from Bratislava to Piešťany. So let's go on to, first of all, let's go on to my area where I live. So as I live in Piešťany, so I'll show you a couple of cities over here. Here's Bratislava. So this is the west of Slovakia. This is not far away from Vienna. And here is my city of Piešťany. Now, when we moved in 2007 to the city of Piešťany, we were thinking of the tourists and of the Jewish cities around us, so the Jewish small communities around us. So you have this city which is called Piešťany or Pishtian. There are many different names. There's Hungarian names. People know it. For people that come from this place, it's a very emotional city, because they're grand. So they call it with all different types of names. Over here, you have a city called Nitra. There was a famous yeshiva known as the Nitra Yeshiva. So that is called today Nitra. So that's a 40-minute drive away from us. There's another city over here called Galanta. And again, there's small Jewish communities around there. And then you have Dunajska Streda, another city. You have Nova Zamki. So we chose the city of Piashtani because we figured we can service all these small communities, and besides that, besides serving all the smaller communities, which each one consists of maybe between 30 members, 30 Jews to 50 Jews approximately, um, our city is known, is world renowned. It's a world renowned city for the spa. So here you got a little picture of the hotels. These are in Hebrew we call them Mayim Chamin, which means the hot springs, or these are they are what else did I want to say? There's the mud, all different treatments. People that come to Piashtani end up coming back many times because the treatments are very good for the bones. And by the way, I'm not getting in commission for this. I'm not trying to sell the city, and I have nothing out besides seeing Jewish people. I don't make any money off, but it is a good city to visit for people that need the treatments, and people have been coming. We have our community of tourists. So every year, I would say it actually fluctuates between one year and another year. Um, the numbers go up and down. Sometimes it's 5 to 7,000, mostly from Israel tourists, because they're aware of this and we're relatively close. A lot of Russians come here. Some people come. We have some Americans that come once in a while, seldom, but people are starting to hear about it. So this is very good for it. So because there were so many Jewish people coming here, we've had Yom Kippur with 200 people by Kol Nidre, 200 guests. And just think about this. These are Jews that didn't necessarily look for a minyan, and they said, we're going to go to Piashtani because there's a minyan over there. No, they left Israel because it was a vacation time, and all of a sudden they end up in Piashtani, and somebody's asking them if they want to come to hear Kol Nidre. So that's kind of what we're here for, is to provide a Jewish home on every single level. But things change. Things always, we've had many years with we were very steady in the hotels, and then the hotels preferred that we don't be in their face. So we opened up a center in the center of the city, but we figured out after a little while that people that are needing the treatments are not going to walk over the bridge, which is a 5-minute walk, because the reason that they're there is because they have a hard time walking. So as I say, that things always change. That's part of the fun. Okay, then we can go on to the next topic, I guess. A little bit more about this town. This town where I live, used to have 2 shuls. Today the shuls are non-existent, and anybody that cries about, oh, how sad that is, I say that the crying was done already during the Holocaust. It's not, we're not, we are, I'm not worried about the stones that are not there, even though, of course, it's painful to know that, it bothers me personally that these shuls were destroyed even after the Holocaust, during communism. But the main thing is the Jewish soul. That's what we're here for. We're not here to restore buildings. There's enough people that do those work, that type of work. We're here for the neshamas. But I'm just letting you know a little bit about the city. There were many rabbis that lived in this city. This city I had a Jew from Manhattan visit me. His name was Joe Garay, and Joe comes. This is like a 2008, and he starts screaming at me. He says, "What are you doing? A religious Jew? What are you doing in the city?" I said, "What are you doing?" He says, "Well, I'm coming for treatments." I said, "And I'm coming to give you treatments." So after a little talk, he told me that he was in Piashtini during the Second World War, and he was instrumental in saving Rabbi Yisachar Teichtel. He was a great rabbi. I'm saying there's a lot of Jewish history, like the rest of Europe. Every single city you can tell a whole story. You can write a whole book, and I'm not really an historian, but I'm just telling you a little bit about the city. There's so this Joe Garay showed me around the city. He showed me this used to be the mikvah, the river. Half the city used to go to the mikvah before Shabbos. There were two communities. He showed me this used to be the shachtois. This was the slaughterhouse, and there's in my there was another rabbi by the name of Rabbi Ungar. He was known as the Naitra Rav. Here's a picture of him, Shmuel David Halevi Ungar, and here's a picture of it's not the best picture, but it's the quickest. Like I said, I did this the best I could in a small amount of time. Here's his matzeva. Here's his stone. He's buried in 10 minutes drive from me in the cemetery, the Jewish cemetery over here, which there's no such shortage of cemeteries and righteous people buried. Okay, I'm talking a lot. And any questions during my talk? Just open up your mic if you can, or let me know that you want to stop me. No, okay. Let's go on a little to the city of Košice. Like I said, I visit there very often. So Košice, you should see that, you know, in Slovak, the S, there's no SH. So you have a little, what they call a mechchik. You have the thing on top of the S, which makes, instead of a SH, it makes that sound of a sh. So it's Košice. The C makes the sound of a tse. And it's the second to biggest city in the entire Slovakia. There are, today there's a few hundred Jews living over there. But again, the reason why I chose to live in my city was because originally my idea was to connect with the Jews in the surrounding area where I live, the small Shtetlach, and also to travel to Košice. Today, my focus is a lot more on the city of Košice because I found that connecting with a lot of the older generation, at the beginning there was a language barrier. People had a very hard time to connect. Again, this country went through 40 years of communism, and in Košice, I somewhat started picking up a lot more. So I'm finding myself over there. There's again, of course, there was many synagogues in the city. This is Rosh Hashanah. Even during Corona, we had a minyan over there, a big minyan, or relatively for Corona times, 60 people. Same on Yom Kippur. Here's another inside of another of the synagogues. There are more synagogues again, but this is not my job. I'll just tell you a little bit about this. This is exhibition today. The story is very painful when you see how great and how big the community used to be, but that is really not our focus. Our focus is really to get to the Jewish people that are living in the city. And Baruch Hashem, yesterday we had a Zoom preparation for Pesach. We had 30 people join us. So really that is more than any stones in any synagogue. That's greater than any of these stories that I'll tell you. But it's still interesting to know, I guess. We work a lot with the younger generation, especially now during Corona. We work a lot more with the younger generation. Students, they're medical students. There are veterinary students. There are the psychology students coming mostly from Israel. At any the numbers always fluctuate between 75 to 150. Although the past year, most of the learning is done remotely through Zoom. Here are some pictures from the past couple of weeks of this is from last week. This is from the week before. You can see that people are happy, and that's what we're there to do. This boy over here, he's not a boy, he's a young man. He just committed the previous week to put on tefillin once a week. So I'm here in this picture, he's holding the pair of tefillin which I lent him until he's able to buy his own tefillin. It's another picture. Some other pictures. Recently, we opened up a Chabad center in the city of Košice, and so we had a special event with some nice drinks, and we put up mezuzahs, so all the students, as the older crowd was a little bit more hesitant to come, and I don't encourage anybody to leave yet their houses. So we were mostly the younger crowd, but it was beautiful. And what else? I mean, part of working with the students is we don't only have fun, we also have we're connected internationally. We have a group called the Sinai Scholars. I don't know if you have it in Chicago, which is a very intense learning. This is an 8-week course. Any student that it qualifies, which is Jewish mother and serious interest. We don't know this for this program. You have to be committed to study and come to the classes, all the classes which I give. At the end, we give them a stipend. This is connected with the Chabad on Campus International of $350, but they have to work. They have to attend Shabbos together, Shabbat together, and we had a very nice group last year. This year, it didn't really take off because of the Zoom, which it was less attractive. But we're hoping still to the next week or two to restart it only via Zoom, because most of the students, like I said, are learning remotely. Here's the same room. You can see this is multifunctional. Sometimes we turn it into a little excitement. So there's a Rabbi Levi, if you want, I can show some videos. If there's any questions, of course, I can talk for the next 3 hours. But you can tell me. I'm gonna stop sharing. I can show you videos, or I can answer questions, or I can continue talking.
So maybe let's take a few minutes for a few short clips or videos that you have, and then we'll give some time for questions, please.
Okay, 1 second over here. I gotta find the videos. I put them up somewhere. Okay, we're gonna share again the page. And this time it's we have every year we have a very big Shabbaton for students, which are one of our goals is obviously for Jewish students to connect with Jewish students. In order to do that, we bring them the best of the physical and spiritual world together. So here you'll get a little glimpse into one of these Shabbatons. Let me share. Advanced share options. Wait a second, let me get the sound on. Just gonna put on the sound. You'll let me know if I need to make the sound any louder. Please let me know if I should put the sound on louder.
We don't hear anything yet. Oh, now we do.
אין לנו זכות בכלל להתלונן, הכל תפוחם סתיו וברוך השם כי החיים שלנו תותים, החיים שלנו תותים, החיים שלנו תותים, החיים שלנו שעות של תור בדואר, קשה לגמור פה תואר, והמצב בנוער קשה לשיר כמו זוהר, להתעורר בבוקר, להיכנס לכושר, הדלק שוב ביוקר, והמוזה היא בעוצר, שחיתות בכל שבועיים, פיגוע כל יומיים, הארנונה בשמיים, והטסט בירושלים, שבא לבית נושה, וגם הבוס נוקשה, אז הפכתי למורשה, לא הכל פרר ורושה, אבל אין לנו זכות בכלל להתלונן, הכל תפוחם סע וברוך השם כי החיים שלנו תותים, החיים שלנו תותים, החיים שלנו תותים, החיים שלנו היידה הילד קם בלילה והאישה לא די לה, קונה כל מה שבא לה, קשה לשאוף למעלה, קשה לסגור את החודש, קשה לדבוק בקודש, חיים שלמים בלי שורש, אין ערק ויש יורש, הסוללה עוזלת והתקרה נוזלת, המדינה גוזלת והממשלה פוזלת, שוטף פלוס 60, העומס בכבישים, קשה עם המיסים וכולנו אדישים, אז אין לנו זכות בכלל להתלונן, הכל תפוחם סע וברוך השם כי החיים שלנו תותים, החיים שלנו תותים, החיים שלנו תותים, החיים שלנו פתחנו פג'ורה, קיצרנו מספיק, כפינו טובה, עכשיו נחזור אחורה אל הבסיס, זמן לומר תודה, תודה, תודה על הרוח, תודה, שאין לי זמן לנוח, תודה, תודה על השבת, תודה, על שני בנים ובת, תודה, תודה על כל היופי, תודה, על הזכות לראות את מסי, תודה, על התיקון, על המהות, תודה, תודה על הילדות, אין לנו זכות בכלל להתלונן, הכל תפוחם סע וברוך השם כי החיים שלנו תותים, החיים שלנו תותים, החיים שלנו תותים, החיים שלנו החיים שלנו תותים, החיים שלנו תותים, החיים שלנו תותים, החיים שלנו.
It was very good. We really enjoyed, and
Okay, so we do another one or two?
Yeah, let's do one more and then we'll give a few minutes for questions.
Okay. I don't know where it is, so you're gonna get the entertainment of seeing my preparation. It wasn't this. Okay. Where was it? It wasn't this. No. Where did I have it? I'll stop share a second. You can ask the questions meanwhile. I'm just gonna look to where did I put where did I place it?
What about,
know-
I have a question.
Yeah.
What about schools? Do you have a Jewish school? Where do your children go to school?
My children are the luckiest children in the world because they're the only one that they're the only ones that weren't affected by Corona. The entire world have been learning on Zoom before Corona and during Corona, before COVID and during COVID. So my children study mostly at home. My oldest daughter is in Israel, already the fourth year high school. And thank God, yesterday they announced new rules and she's going to be coming home for
Really?
yeah, they got special permission and she's coming home for us for Pesach.
Very
That's my
nice.
oldest. Yeah. And I have a son in yeshiva in Antwerp. So that's Belgium. So yeah, my kids are they're happy with their school. Of course, we know that we need to provide them with more social and whatever we can. But as far as this year, they were the luckiest kids on the block.
Mhm. Do you have a school or had a school? A nursery, a gan, no?
In our city, there in the city where I live, Piashtani, there are a couple of Jewish people. When I'm saying a couple, I really could count them on my fingers. Not that many, because we moved to our city mostly because of the tourists and because of the location near the other cities. And there are no children in my vicinity. There's
Oh,
a couple of there's a couple of families. There's actually one Jewish boy lives 3 minutes away. Parents are a little bit more reserved, although we're close with the family. But when we do get together, it's a big treat for one of my youngest sons that he's able to play with somebody physically. Yeah.
What language do you mainly speak?
I mostly speak with my children in Yiddish, with the community. The language is Slovak, but I find it easiest to speak in English, and I have somebody translating for me. Even though I can technically communicate in Slovak, I'm still an American, and I still speak English better than Slovak. Also Hebrew. Yeah.
Can you describe the picture behind you or whatever you have it behind you?
This is the famous picture of the Shluchim International Conference when all the rabbis from all the Chabad rabbis from around the world come for picture taking.
What year was it?
This I don't know. It's actually a virtual background. I'm using this as.
I understand. No, I understood that, but I was just wondering.
Truth is, I don't know. I just like I googled the quickest picture that came up. That's what I put on my background. So
And the buildings behind it?
that is the building of 770. That is the Lubavitch headquarters.
Do you have difficulty getting kosher food, meat?
Good question. I just was in Vienna today. It's a 4-hour drive, 2 hours each way. You know, many American shluchim need to drive even further than I. Today, with the corona, with the COVID, I don't know, in Israel they call it corona. Over here we call it COVID. But what do you call it? Today I needed to get a special permission, so I printed out a paper because I needed to pass over the borders. Although you're with European Union, there's no borders, but during the past year they started making borders in order to stop people traveling from country to country. But otherwise, it's not really hard. I came back. I'm not going to send how much I spent, but I came back with a good 9 or 10 big boxes of food. So yeah, I
That's
can't
for
buy.
Passover.
That's for Passover, and it's also for community members. We provide the service to, you know, for Passover. We're delivering kosher meals throughout the entire country. We send the drivers as far as 5 hours drive from us in order to bring people the Pesach Seder. Although usually we would make the Pesach Seder, so at least we're bringing people the food. Yeah.
But so then you do this normally when it's not Pesach, you do this also to get your food?
Yes.
Or
Food.
you have it shipped in?
The food is, I'd say, the food is like one of the smallest challenges that I faced. I got used to it after in like 2004 to 2005. I had a funny story that I wanted to go out one year I wanted to take my wife out for pizza. So I remember we didn't have a car, so we needed to get on the train and travel. It took the whole, when we calculated it afterwards, it was a 7-hour trip. You know, so
For a slice of pizza?
For a slice of pizza, but you know, we're not, besides not being able to buy potato chips, and you know, which is what I crave in a supermarket, we buy all the food in advance. We have big freezers, and it's really not, we provide the food for other people, so yeah, so it's a lot less of a challenge.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else has any questions they would like to ask?
Have there been people who have decided to go kosher, or, you know, have you felt, you said that you deal mainly with young people, but, you know.
Yeah,
I
no,
want some success stories. I want to hear some success stories.
You want to hear success stories? I'll tell you what a success story in my way of thinking is. You saw the video of Leo. You saw him. He was a guy that didn't know that he was Jewish until after his grandmother passed away. Now this Leo, I meet with him almost every week. Okay, so he's 4 hours away from me. He actually just called me up. Last week we were together on Thursday. We spent 3 hours studying Torah together. So that I would call a success. You know, when somebody, a lawyer, takes from his time, and we spent 3 hours studying Torah together. And I suggested that he that he has a brit milah because he never had a brit milah, and he's pondering on this thought. And he told me, Rabbi, just tell me about it because I'm really leaning towards doing a brit milah. I'm not ready yet, but I want to know what's involved. So that, or the same Leo, and there's many Leos out there. There's just one name that came to mind. He now wants, whenever I go to Vienna, he tells me, Rabbi, buy me kosher meat. I'm not going to promise when I'm out that I'm only going to have kosher meat, but I want to have kosher meat in my house so that whenever I'm home, I can make myself kosher meat. Okay, so that's Leo. And same is true when I saw people last night, we had a Pesach class, and I hear from the Jewish communities, with mostly the senior community. I teach mostly to seniors, and almost no young people for this class. And I asked, what was your childhood? How did you do the Seder? And people were excited to tell me that they used to use for the shank bone on the Seder plate, they would do a wing. And another person says, I used to do like this, and I made the food like this. This is for me a success, where the neshama, where you hear the neshama of Jews that may have experienced 40 years of communism, but they connect directly to their Jewish roots, and it's in 100% intact, despite whatever they went through and the life that they had in Slovakia. So I see these small cases. When we look at success, we're not looking to make everybody with beard and peyot. We want a Jew to put on tefillin. It's not important to put the video on Purim. I met a hotel owner, and I read the Megillah for him. I brought my whole family to the hotel to read the Megillah for him, because most people are not meeting. And then I called him up on Friday, the following Friday. I say, Mr. Katz, because I only found out that I have to meet you. Can we meet? He says, okay, let's meet on Monday. So we meet on Monday. And I asked him, Mr. Katz, you have to tell me, where do you come from? I never heard you. He says, did you have a bar mitzvah? He says, I didn't have a bar mitzvah. I said, would you mind to have a bar mitzvah now? He says, what do I have to do? And of course, I checked out. I asked him if he has Jewish ancestors, and yes, he had. And he is a Kohen at the age of 67, or I'm not sure exactly the year. He put on tefillin for the first time. And now I asked him, following the tefillin, I asked him, do you want to celebrate Pesach? And he tells me, yes. That's more than anything that I can wish for.
Those are wonderful success stories.
Yeah.
Those are
Mostly,
successes.
are they mostly intermarried people, or?
Unfortunately, yes, with the big after effect. But this is what I find the most amazing, that despite, that's what I'm saying when I say despite everything, despite what they this Leo, going back to Leo, I should go, there are many other people that are connecting to their neshama despite their ongoing battle within themselves.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Rabbi Shtifel, for giving us your precious time before Pesach. And it's amazing to see and inspiring to see the Mesiras Nefesh self-sacrifice that you have over there, even for so-called few in quantity of Jews, but the many in quality, and how you take every single soul as the quality of what a Jewish soul is, and you look to inspire so many of them. We thank you so much again, and wish you a lot of success in your shluchos over there in Slovakia.
Thank you very much. Very
Otherwise,
much.
everybody have a very good week,
Thank you very much.
and looking
Thank
forward to
you,
seeing you
Rabbi.
tomorrow at 1:30 with Rabbi Hertz. Be well, everyone.
Thank you
Very
very much.
welcome.